Welcome to Underground Strategy Podcast. This is an extra episode, so it's going to be short and sweet. But I'm here with Tony today because we are celebrating, we're just announcing that our book number 788 has finally been released. How does it feel, Tony?
Thanks, Max. It's lovely to be with you. It's a great feeling. It's lovely to have the book out and also to have the book out and having it in a physical product with us. It's been a few years, so it really feels good. Yeah, we just wanted to send a short message to all our listeners. Thank you so much for your support. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about this book. And without saying more, Max, tell us when this idea first came to you. Talk us through just like a short snapshot of how that was from then to now. And then we take it from there, if that's cool.
Definitely, Tony. And I also want to say first that I'm a bit jealous because you actually have one of the author's copies, or you got your author's copies already of the books, and I'm waiting for mine, and they look fabulous. So I'm very excited for that. But it's been a roller coaster. I think it started off kind of in an explosive way, because the writing process was kind of short, but then the editing process was longer and, more. I learned more things during that process, probably than the writing process. And us working together, and it's been 2.5 years. So I'm just finally so happy that the product is out and that we can see the fruits of our labor finally.
I think there's just to use a bit of a cliche, there's that saying, good writing is good editing. And I think for me too, a lot of it was in the editing and in the reframing of things. For me, what was interesting about it was having a view into someone else's life. And this, of course, was your life, Max, and you have experienced those things. And I was in a participant in the sense that I was viewing your life and having a front row seat to it, and just one period of it, but very interesting. And then definitely the writing, editing, and then rewriting of it was really cool.
Absolutely.
I think some of the things that stood out to me is that it's actually a coming of age story. That it's you saying that how it was for you, how you had developed your future, and so said, oh, I'm a teenager at this point. I'm looking ahead and I'm not sure where to go. And then one opportunity seems to beget another. And that leads you into this military path and this very specific career in the military. And I don't know, Max, if you can tell us a little bit about how you think back on those times and how it evolved. Like with hindsight, you put it all into like a package, like it was planned that way, with hindsight, like into chapter by chapter, like the book. Or when you think back, do you think it was a lot of chance?
It was a lot of fluke, of course. I mean, this was a different time. Even if it was, 20 years ago, roughly, it was a very different time. The army was in a different state, and a lot of this was actually pure luck. And of course, some initiative from my side, and you tried your best. But as we all know, I was not set on having a career in the army from the get go. So it was a bit of fluke, but it was a lucky coin toss for me. And I think seeing it when we put it together like this, and working with the chapters, writing the chapters, editing the chapters, and also doing it together with someone else, it gives you different perspective, and you can kind of relive those times, and you can also see how it seems like it was all planned out and it's all very structured when you read it in the book. But it was a quite chaotic time in many ways, but also I had a lot of fun. So probably one of the better periods of my life so far.
That makes sense. I'm just going to flip open the book and I'm going to read a line from one of the chapters here. I'm opening and I'm on chapter 14. I'm actually going to read the hook, so that's very convenient, because now it's going to seem like I planned it. But it says, the hook, stand by for contact. I flicked off the safety of the AK between my legs and grasped the pistol grip. I mean, that's a hell of a way to start a chapter, Max.
It is a hell of a hook, and it's a hell of a chapter, actually. One of my favorite chapters, chapter 14. I really like that. It's you can see it in this book. We don't have the usual, gunpowder from start to finish, because as you said, it's a coming of age story in one sense. It's a classic traditional military story in another sense. And I think, but chapter 14 is definitely one of the more explosive chapters.
Yeah, and for our listeners, chapter 14, it goes a little bit about the mission in Kosovo, and I think I don't know how much I can say, but what the hell, I'm just going to say it. One of the things that's interesting, and when Max and I have had discussions on different platforms, and in one case, it was in a on a course where we were teaching, and Max was doing a small guest lecture in this course. And what the students found very surprising was that even in K4, which was actually or is a peacekeeping mission, that there you would have special operations units doing covert missions. And this really is the a lot about chapter 14 of the book and what Max and his colleagues did over there. So all I can say, it's pretty cool and very interesting. Not necessarily all the gunpowder stuff. If you look, there's a little bit of that, but also the day-to-day things and a lot of the intelligence-led missions. Is that fair, Max?
It is fair, and I think it also kind of when you come to chapter 14 and 15 and 16, that we just start to wrap up not the life story, but this chapter of my life. This is what the first quarter of my military life. So I think you're starting to wrap up there. You start to see the effects. You start to see what we have been working for all of these years, what it had led up to. So I think it's a very satisfying part, definitely. And chapter 14 with chapter 4, I would say it's my favorite chapters. Chapter 4 is the selection part, which I enjoy. I don't know if it's my memories or if it's yes, because I enjoyed to read it.
Yeah, and I think maybe nostalgia, and also chapter 4 has the title of the book. So chapter 4 is also called Number 788 and tells the story of the selection, as Max said, and it's pretty cool. I'll read you the hook of that chapter, and it says, "It was just a train ticket, a location with a time and a date and papers to show the god." So that's the hook for number 788 in the sense of chapter 4. And we'll let you read a bit more about that. I'll tell you one of the chapters that got me, Max, that was really interesting. There's a few that's really interesting, but one was where you ply your trade in terms of building confidence with, and I really hate to use this word, but with sources. And it brings out the human intelligence aspect of it. And that's chapter 7. And the chapter is called Fast Cars and Fast Ropes, Infiltrating an Extremist Group. And I think the catch line for me is, she has hate, and protecting the children is a motivation. I think she will work hard. And I think that, when people read this actual chapter, that kind of hits to the heart of it, and how you understood the kind of emotional links, building confidence with sources, and you understood their motivation. What do you think?
Yeah, and of course, it's for some people it is disturbing reading, because it's not something that should have to be a part of anything. But unfortunately, this is I wouldn't like to say it's the underbelly, but this is the reality of how it looks on the ground in many intelligence operations. And I think I think I'm divided, but I think it feels good to just give a glimpse of that, how it looks on the ground, what the stakes are, and how far you have to go to protect your country, or to protect your borders, or to deal with terrorism in general. So I think it's important. Also, it's important to get a little taste of that, even if it doesn't sit right with everyone.
And I think in that one, there's a very human story that, the readers will. So you're right that, I understand your point that it's very uncomfortable reading at times, and I can imagine for you as a person, it was and maybe still is very uncomfortable. But also, there is a story of hope in there, not only for the inverted commas, and as you sometimes say, Max, the greater good, but for that particular person who was afforded some protections for them and their family. So, I think there is a good news story in there, and some important discussions, some difficult discussions in this book. I think one of the good selling points is it's not all gunpowder and firefights. There's some of that, of course, but there is the difficult operations in various countries across the world where you operate in. And it's really staggering the amount of stuff that you've done in a short space of time. And I really think, Max, before we give away way too much, I think we've said enough, already. And then I don't know if you'll join me just in the final words to welcome any questions from our listeners, from our readers, and we will respond to each and every email and request, even if some of them want to have a short call with us.
Yes, and I can say we have already had quite a few. A lot of people are sending us DMs, emails, asking about the book, having questions in general, praise, constructive criticism, and so on. So a lot of people are excited about the book, and a lot of people want to discuss these human aspects, PTSD, veterans, life, all of that. So I'm very happy that, because that is one of our main goals, also to create discussion and have an outlet for that. And we are more than happy, as you said, we are more than happy to engage in that, because that's a part of the purpose.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, because this book is written by a military veteran about military operations. It's not praising war, and I think anyone that gets to know you and reads the work and the detail in it, you certainly aren't praising the military or war, but you are more sharing your experiences and allowing for others to engage. And of course, there's a bigger discussion throughout the world, and this definitely is a part of it. So and also myself as a veteran, of course, I support this discussion, as you well know, Max. And so we welcome all those messages, and thank you so much to all our listeners and for all the readers. And we're looking forward to hearing from you. And as always, last words to you, Max.
Yeah, so to sum it up, we're going to do, or we are actually right now producing a more in-depth series about this book. It's going to be 6 or 8 episodes. So that's going to be like a special that we're going to have on this podcast as standalone episodes. But we are focusing on the book. We have your friend Des from South Africa that is helping us to interview us and ask us more about the process and get to know us a bit more better. So if you're really interested in hearing more about the process around the book and more about the book, that is a good shout. And that's going to be quite soon, I think. Within a few weeks, we're going to, of course, notify you on all social media when that is releasing. And then I think the book is out most places. I know it's on Amazon. You can buy it directly from the publisher, Helion. Yeah, I think, did I forget anything?
No, I think you've covered all of that. And we look forward to publishing the standalone series with Des Latham. Just looking forward to hearing the responses.
Sounds great. And thank you to everyone that has been following our journey. We are very excited, and we are looking forward to see you soon.
Bye-bye.